Hello crafty friends, this is the Paper Chef here. In today's Ink It Up tutorial, we're going to make this box, which is from a card from the Paper Pumpkin Kit, this month's Paper Pumpkin Kit. And this month's Paper Pumpkin Kit is called Bouquet of Hope. It's by Stampin' Up. We're going to take one of the cards. The card is the color Rococo Rose. And we're going to take part of this card and part of this card, because the bottom, we're going to put the bottom of the card is like, the bottom of the box is going to be like that. We're going to emboss the top of the box. Okay. We'll do some coloring. We'll do some Ink It Up. That's what this series is about. It's always going to be sharing some kind of technique with you. And the technique I'm going to be showing you is how to ink up this embossing folder. Now this embossing folder is not part of the kit, but all the other elements, including this part, this bottom part of this little sentiment, this embellishment, these sequins, and this twine, that's all from the Paper Pumpkin Kit. Hey, hi Janet. Nice of you to join me. This wasn't even in my last video, this particular project. Now, I just did a project. Actually, this is my third Paper Pumpkin video already for this kit. Now, in the first video, I shared how to cut out with your scan and cut this beautiful bouquet, which is cutting out a stamped image. The next video, I showed 26 projects I created with this Paper Pumpkin Kit. And in the end of that video, I unboxed this kit and showed you what you can do with it. Hi, Donna. And then I decided after that to make this box. And I was like, oh, I really like how this came out. It's like I didn't know how it was going to come out. It was just like a pleasant surprise. And I said, I need to stop and share this project. But what I'm showing you is exactly the same. So you're going to make a card from a box. The technique you're going to learn is exactly the same whether you make a card from that's not embossed on the lid or not. It's just a matter of how you score it on the sides. Okay, so I'll show you how to make this box here, which is the same measurements, well, pretty much the same measurements as this box here. All right, so now what you need is just go ahead and gather whatever supplies you have. If you don't have a Paper Pumpkin Kit, gather whatever you have. All you need is a card, okay, and an embossing folder. So I'm going to use this card. One of the colors in the kit is, but we could use this card. We could use this as well. But we're using this one because for the bottom. We could use this for the bottom. But I'm going to go ahead and use Just Jade because I like the contrast. That's a Merry Merlot card. So here are the 3 cards that came in the kit. So these are the 3 cards. Standard cards. Well, maybe they are, yeah. But no, these are standard, yeah. Hi, Kathy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take these cards and we're going to make, let me put these here for you to look at. We're going to go ahead and make the top and the bottom. We're going to cut the parts we need. So like I said, I just thought this was nice for the bottom of the box. Let me put this box in the front. This one we're making. And I thought this was nice for inking it up. So first thing is you get your card and you go to where the score line is and you're going to just cut it. You're going to trim off where the score line is, so that you have the card as big as possible without the score line. See that? So you have this piece, right? And you can do it. You can make another one with this piece here. That's where the score line was. I'm getting rid of the score line. We can go ahead and do it again. It doesn't really matter. Okay, let's go like this. All we're doing is chopping off that one little piece. And now we have 2 pieces in case we mess up. Right? And the measurements will be in the description. But all you're really doing is just getting the top of a card. Now you're going to take, for the bottom of your box, you're going to go ahead and make the bottom of the box a smidgen smaller than the top of the box. Okay, so we're going to take, first just go ahead and cut off that score line again. Okay, a little bit more. Okay. I think I might have done it, but we'll see. So that's about a smidgen. A smidgen's about a 1/16 of an inch. Hi, Jeanette. We'll see if that worked. Okay, pretty good. Pretty good. That's a smidgen. So your box, your bottom of your box is going to be a smidgen smaller than the top of your box. Okay, and you also do that to the side, a little bit like this, a little bit to the side. So you just want to get it like about a 1/16 of an inch off, so that this rectangle for the bottom of your box is slightly smaller than the rectangle for the top of your box. Hi, Sheila. Okay, we're going to do that again with this one. We'll make another one. So this is See, so when you cut off the score line, they're both the same size. But then you just need to take a smidgen off of them. So, and I don't actually measure. I don't even measure when I'm doing this. I just make boxes all the time. I mean, I do have measurements. I did write it down for you. That it was like, this was, let's see, 5, yeah, the bottom of the box. I mean, I'm going to write it down in the description because I don't want to get out all my crazy sticky notes right now. All you need to know is that whenever you make a box, it doesn't matter what kind of box you make. The bottom of your box has to be just a smidgen smaller than the top of your box. Okay, so that's all that matters. Hi, Marie. So that's what you have. This is what we'll use. So now we have that, and you've cut your box. Cut your card. Okay, everything I did here, they're all started with the same exact things. This one started with the top and bottom of a card. That was this card here. This box started with this, the top and bottom of a card. It's all the same. Everything I'm teaching is the same exact process for all 3 of these boxes. It's just a matter of, the only difference in all 3 of these boxes is where you score. Like, where you're scoring with the Simply Scored tool. And you can use your paper trimmer to score as well. Don't mind my table. Maybe if this tutorial goes quick, I can show you the other projects as well, in case you missed my paper pumpkin video that I showed last. All right, so I'm going to get the score. Simply Scored. But again, if you have a paper trimmer that scores, that's fine. I want there to be nice, like this box too. It holds more. I'm going to make it an inch. I want this to be, right, an inch. Actually, I didn't score this one yet. I actually scored it later. But I'm going to go ahead and make the bottom of the box. So let's go ahead and we're going to score an inch around all the sides. Okay? So you could measure from an inch over from the right. But remember, I'm not measuring, like, I don't have to measure anything if I just turn it to the left and always score an inch on the left. I don't ever have to worry about going backwards from the right side. Okay? So now you have your piece for the bottom of your box. And you're going to get a little spatula. You can use like some kind of big spatula or just a little spatula, like I'm using the one for my scan and cut. And you're just going to burnish the edges. And these do have a white inner core, and I'm going to show you what happens if you start seeing the white inner core, what you can do about it. Okay, so you burnish all the edges like that. Now you're going to trim you're going to be doing what's called mitering the edges. So first you score it 1 inch. Okay, and then you're going to take these little bits out. These are little tiny triangles. So I hope, you can follow along and make boxes. This is very therapeutic. And although I can make boxes with my machines, I love making boxes out of cards. There's just something fun about it. It's just because they always come out different. And then you embellish them with whatever in the paper pumpkin kit. And then everything's going to match because you're using the embellishments from the kit. So it's a winner. You know you have a good match. So I'm taking out all these little triangles. I'm just cutting little triangles into this little flap here. So once I get the little triangles, that means I've mitered the inside of the edge. I've mitered the inside. So let me put that over the top of this so you can see it. So far. Okay, you do that. That's what you're doing. You're taking out the triangles. Now you need to also miter the edges like this. So if you don't miter these edges, then what happens is you try to glue it. And, well, actually, it's okay this time. It's not sticking out. But half the time it sticks out a little bit like that on the edge. So you need to just cut that little bit. It just works better if you never have to worry about it if you just do this. Hi, Debbie. You just go like that. So I'm taking another little tiny triangle off of each of the sides. And then I know that when I glue it, it works fine. Now I'm going to use, for this part, I don't have to use, this part goes together easy. It's not bumpy. It's not bumpy paper. Therefore, I can actually just use my rolling adhesive for this. But let me show you, before I adhere it, I want to show you what the bottom of the box looks like. Okay, and at the end of my tutorial, you're going to get to see what's in my boxes. Okay? So we're making this box right now. That's the box we're making. Hi, Carmen. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use rolling adhesive, meaning just seal plus. You don't need glue yet because I think I'm going to use glue for the top part of the box because it holds together when the box is bumpy, but this is a smooth box. Oops, that one's empty. So let's see if I have any more seal. I might have to use glue. Shows how prepared I am. Oh, here we go. I found some Seal Plus. Seal. I'm going to use Seal Plus, which is good rolling adhesive. So let's get it going a little bit. Once you get it going, it sticks. And there's these, it breaks off real easy. There's these little lines on it. See the little tiny lines? I don't know if you can see that in the light, but it breaks off easy. This rolling adhesive. It's not like the old ones. If you're used to the snail and the old time and you had to like do this check mark at the end, you don't have to do any special check marks or anything to get this to lift up. All right, so there you go. And now we're just going to close the bottom of the box. And that is as easy as it gets. That's how to make the bottom of the box. And you could use liquid glue or rolling adhesive. All right, so now the bottom of the box is done. And because we mitered the edges, nothing's sticking out. See? High pinches. But if it is sticking out at all, you could say, oops, I forgot to miter the edges, and you might have to trim a little bit with your scissors, but it's pretty good. Now, even if you just want to store your crafts, make little drawer dividers, whatever. Even if you don't want to make boxes, just making these are fun to store your crafts in. Storing your embellishments from the kit. So sometimes I just make a half a box. Actually, I have these sitting all around my room. For instance, look, these are my extra bits of my, this isn't a box, but this is just a little square container that doesn't have a lid. And it's my extra little bits that I cut out when I was cutting out letters with my scan and cut. Extra pieces of brushed metallic cardstock that I save. I have these all around my room, saved with whatever little things in them all over the place. So you can make little boxes. All right, so now let's not score that one yet. I think it's better that I don't score it yet and cut it, because I think I'm going to do the inking up first. So let me get my placemat. We'll get back to that Simply Scored tool, which again, your paper trimmer might score, but to me, I think there's no substitute for the Simply Scored. I love making boxes and envelopes with it. So now I'm just getting a piece of this because we're going to make a big mess. Put that down. All right, well, we might not make a big mess, just a little mess. So what we're doing now is we're going to ink this up. See, look at the difference in the color. So this is the Rococo Rose, the piece of card. But look at this really cool color. You're like, oh, that doesn't look like Rococo Rose. It's kind of is and it kind of isn't. I brushed it with Merry Merlot. So this is a really cool embossing folder that goes great with this month's Paper Pumpkin kit. It's a 3D embossing folder. Let me find the container. Here it is, the wrapper. It's called, this is right now available in our catalog, in my Stampin' Up store, which I really should have linked in the description, but it's paperchef.stampinup.net. Anyway, there's Ornate Floral 3D embossing folder. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the Merry Merlot ink. I tried this with Rococo Rose, and it did not come out nice at all, I don't think. I think the Merry Merlot worked much better. And I got this really cool color on this box and cool texture. So you're going to open up your Merry Merlot ink, and you're going to just put that there, and you're going to get a Sponge Brayer. If you don't have a Sponge Brayer, you can use one of your maybe blender brushes or blender sponges or any other kind of sponge. What you want to do is you want to take the part that says Stampin' Up. See how that's the top of the embossing folder, and you want to flip it over, and we're going to ink this up. Okay? We're going to ink it up with Merry Merlot. Oops, there goes my Merry Merlot. Okay. And we want to get it till it's pretty pink. Okay. Oh, there's my website. Duh. There's my website. So if you want to get this embossing folder, there's my website. I'm just using an old placemat, so grid paper. So what I'm doing is I'm inking it up with the Sponge Brayer, and I'm just going to now color. See, until it gets a really cool, even color. And that's why I like using sponges, because sponges give me even color. Whereas if I use finger daubers, or if I were to just take the ink pad and put it around myself, it would not give me even color. And if I use blending brushes, let me show you what a blending brush looks like. Okay. Here, let me just grab stuff. These are blending brushes. These don't give you even color as much as a brayer does. Sponge Brayer, which we sell in our catalog. These brayers give you much more even color for embossing folders, in my opinion. But blending brushes are great for blending 2 or more colors together. Well, they're great anyway. So this is what I did. I just did it until I got everything all pink, like a pinkish. It's Merry Merlot, but you want you don't want it to be as dark as Merry Merlot. You just want it to be sort of a pink tinge all across your folder. And that's pretty good, okay? And we'll ink it up some more after we do the embossing. So now we're gonna leave this open because we need it for a minute. Well, no, actually close it. We might need it again, but we're gonna close it just so we don't get ink all over the place. Now we're gonna take this piece of cardstock, and it's from the card. Now keep in mind, I gotta show you this one more time before we emboss it. When you use the cards from the kit, there's white. They have a white inner core. They're not like our regular cardstock. Our regular cardstock is dyed all the way through. So if you were to use Rococo Rose cardstock right now, and you did the same technique I'm showing you, you would not have any little white bits showing later that you might have to recolor. You're going to be having Rococo Rose all the way through. So if you only have that paper cardstock, go ahead and use it. But I'm using this card because I'm trying to use my kit. I mean, I don't have any Rococo Rose cardstock handy. I probably have it somewhere. I just don't have it handy, and I'm using the cards from the kit because after all, this is this month's paper pumpkin kit, and I wanted to embellish with it, so that's why I'm using the cards from the kit. So now what I'm going to do is grab my regular embossing machine. And that's kind of big, okay? So it's going to probably not fit in the camera like my little one does. But suffice it to say, you're going to see my sandwich and how I do this. So there's an embossing machine there. You might have a big shot. There's an embossing machine. I can't tilt my camera right now, but there's a little platform. It opens both sides, right? And I'll show you my sandwich. My sandwich means just the plates. How you put the plates in. How do you put this folder in? So you just get the platform and it tells you what to do. Okay, the platform gives you all the instructions of what to do. So here's your platform. This is the platform that comes with the machine. And all I need for the 3D embossing folders is this. Just put the platform down. See, that's the sandwich. Put that down. Put the embossing folder down. And then it says go ahead and put plate number 4. That's it. So that was plate number 1, the platform. Put the embossing folder down and put plate number 4. And that's it. That's how easy it is to emboss. I could have used right hand or left hand to crank it through, but I probably should have put the crank on the left side. And you crank it through, and magically, you can't see the other side of this, but magically it's going to come out just because of my camera angle. But there it is. And now I'll show you how that came out. Okay? So that's how that came out. Pretty cool, right? Now you can see a couple little bits of white sticking out because this kind of card has a white inner core. You wouldn't see that if you're just using straight Rococo Rose cardstock. And like I said, I tried Rococo Rose on top of Rococo Rose. That was tone on tone, and it didn't come out nice. But when I used the Merry Merlot on top of Rococo Rose, I think it came out with a really cool color. And let me go ahead and put that down. And it not only the color, but the texture. It took on the depth. So we're going to show you before and after. Here's a piece. And you can't really see the depth until I get close to the camera, but there's depth. Ink got down inside the sides. It's really 3D, more 3D, because the ink got down in there. Okay, now you have some white sticking out. Okay, so it's a little, what you're going to do to fix that, go ahead and move this, is just get your sponge brayer and fix it. And of course, after we do our scoring, we're going to get a little bit more white as well. So there's a little bit of white, and I'm going to open back up the ink, and I'm going to do this again. I think it makes a difference if you do this afterward. You could have just done this afterwards. I've done this a lot with my embossing folders where I color it afterwards, and that's fine, and you get a good color on your embossing folder. But I find it's better to fix it afterwards. Just fix it and get rid of the extra white, and even just go over it and give it more depth. But I like embossing the ink into the folder, because when you do that, it just really gets down there on the sides. It's just all the flowers are dark around the sides now, and it really makes the flowers stick out. And by the way, if you don't have this particular embossing folder, just use whatever embossing folder you have, and you're going to see that ink get right into the grooves. Get into the groove. All right, there you go. So that's all we need for that. Now, I felt like it was easier to cut and make the scoring lines after I had already done embossing than it was before, because it was just, I think that would be better. So, and I just washed this with water because our ink washes off with water. And then it took a little while to dry. That's why I was going to go on earlier, and I'm like, oops, I can't go on. My embossing folder is not dry. So now what we're going to do, and hello to everybody that came in. We're making this box. If you just came in, this is the box we're making. We're just going to make the lid for the box now. Now it's the same exact measurements. It's still 1 inch around. And you're like, well, how can it be a lid if it's 1 inch around? Okay. Well, the reason it can be a lid is because we made this one a smidgen smaller. The bottom of the box a smidgen smaller than the top of the box. There's that 1 inch mark. I'll get that a little closer. See? 1 inch. And because I'm scoring the same distance around the sides, and because this started out as a little bit bigger of a piece of paper, then that's why it's going to fit over the box. And also I'm going to use glue. Now be careful when you fold these. I'm not even using the spatula, because what happens when I use the spatula, like I did with this, it got a bit of white. White started sticking out, and I'm going to show you how to fix that. See, it did it again. See, the paper cracks, and it has a white inner core. And I could have used Rococo Rose cardstock for this whole tutorial, but I thought I want you to see how to use the kit and how to fix this issue. So whenever you see the white inner core sticking out, you can either cover it with embellishments, or you can just get your sponge out again and do that. And I'm going to show you how to ink around the edges as well. Okay, and you can get rid of any little white parts sticking out. But you don't have to get rid of them yet, because we're not done making our little score lines and everything. I mean, not score lines, our little... So you would burnish your edges, but do it with your fingers. Don't do it with the spatula, because you're going to rub off. Even that side looks cool, huh? Even that side is cool. That would be the negative of your embossing, the negative side. So I'm doing my little triangles again. And then this time I'm going to use glue. And the reason I use glue is then you can fix the size of the lid. You can... If it's a little too tight, you can fix it easier when you use glue. But if you use rolling adhesive, the lid is, you can't really change the size of the lid, right? So that's that. So now we've done that side, and then it looks like, okay, put that on there. So it looks like that when you're all done. Okay. You have all your, make sure I got all the sides. I got all the places. Now we're going to use rolling adhesive and my little trick of using the paper, or the clothespins. I'm done with the score. I'm done with Simply Scored. Here's the clothespins. You need clothespins when you're making boxes and you're using glue. I'm using just this glue, just our Tombow multi-purpose glue. Do 2 sides at once. Put a lot of glue on there. Be generous, because you don't normally have to use so much glue. The reason you're generous with glue right now is because there's a lot of grooves. There's a lot of grooves with these flowers, and you need to fill in those grooves. Okay, and then you're going to just fold this over and use your clothespins to let it dry. And see, I could have even used more glue, because I can see the glue seeping into the holes. Just it'll dry clear. Okay, and then we're going to do this side while that side's drying. We'll put some glue on this side. And while your embossing folder is already inked up, you can do a few more, because you get 3 cards. If you don't want to make cards, the kit's nice, and it makes nice sympathy cards and nice thinking of you cards. But I already made so many with my first kit. This is my second kit, that I decided that I'm just going to make some boxes, because I like to use up my kits when I get them. I save some leftovers. I think that needs a little touch of more glue. Yeah, you can buy the markers from the scoreboard. My friend Michelle makes them with her 3D printer, and there's another lady I bought them off of online. I don't have the link right now, but I'll try to put it in the description. Here are the markers. You can't buy them from Stampin' Up, but people make them with their 3D printer. These are extra markers. See, it matches my glue holder. My friend Michelle also makes these glue holders with her 3D printer. Her husband makes it. I did a video on that in my Happy Mail video. If you see my Happy Mail video from last week or 2 weeks ago, I did a Happy Mail video. It's called Swaps and Happy Mail. And in there, I linked to my friend Michelle's 3D printer ordering form, if you're in the U.S. All right, so these two are drying, so these 2 should be dry now by the time I go down that side. Now, since I use glue, and it's drying still. I can pull these off for a second before it dries all the way. And check this out. When you put your bottom on, right? Make sure you get all the dust out of there. Put this on. Go ahead and squeeze it in there because it'll kind of make the lid not be so tight. Like, it's tight right now, but before it dries solid, right? Put your bottom on there so that way the lid can have some stretch. The lid will stretch a little before it dries, and it'll fit on there perfectly. Okay, so now what you're going to do now is going to ink up the edges to get rid of any white cracks. So you see how it cracked a little bit and it got white. So now you just take out your ink again. And this is also something you can do with a finger sponge dauber. So you want to take out your Merry Merlot. Rolling, rolling, rolling. I'm just rolling on the ink, and I'm going to roll along all the edges. Okay, and it gives me nice depth anyway. And you could do this to the edges of your cards or edges of your embellishments or whatever you want to do. But look how cool that is. And you could even do that if you want it to be really dark along the edges. You can just do this with your little sponge. Okay, but you're getting rid of any little white marks that came about from the printer. Not the printer, the embossing folder. You know what I mean. All right, so there goes that. Now we're going to just ink up the sentiment. So we have the kit. And the kit came with really cool stickers, 3 different languages. This is going to be an international kit. But I'm focused on these little things. It came with stickers. It came with here, these little strips. That's what I'm going to grab, these little strips. And the kit came with Merry Merlot ink. But since I'm already using this one, I mean, not Merry Merlot. It came with Mossy Meadow ink, but I'm going to use Merry Merlot ink. Instead of using my Mossy Meadow ink spot, I'm going to tap, tap, tap. I'll always be here for you. Just going to stick that on. Always stamp it onto your mat first to make sure that it's inked up real well. Okay, tap, tap, tap. I think I'm using Stamping Block H. Oops, I messed that one up. But luckily, we have extras. I have to tilt my stamping block a little to make sure I got it inked up. Okay, that's good. And you can always use the other side of those if you mess them up. So then you take that out. And then I like to always get the little edges. And you can either file them down or sort of, when you pop these out, there's little, I guess I call them nibs. And I sort of trim those off a little. Because they drive me crazy. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. You'll be like, doesn't probably bother you. And nobody will even notice. But I notice. Okay? So I just kind of, you can, like I said, you can file off those little nibs, and you can put that on with, I have so much glue on my hands. Okay, we're going to put that on with Stampin' Dimensionals. Stampin' Dimensionals came in the kit. Everything came in the kit. I'm using, right now, so far, this is all the kit. The bottom of one card, the top of another card, except for the embossing folder. That was right out of the kit. Okay. And we're going to put that on there. And that's using a little embellishment from the kit. Okay, let's see what I used here. I used that cute one with the yellow. The yellow is Bumblebee. This is a really cute embellishment. So use that little embellishment there. And just sort of put that on there like that with a couple little dimensionals. Okay, and then you can put the little sequins that came in the kit. The little black sequins came in your kit. Put that there like that. Get a few little sequins. Plop. 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 The reason I don't mind using the sequins on this one is because there's a black trim around the side, and the sequins go good with the black trim. Otherwise, if I wasn't using this little black trim, and since there's no black in there, I wouldn't use the black sequins. I don't think they would look right, but they do look right when you have the little black trim. This twine came in your kit as well. It's to put on your cards, but of course I use it to wrap the boxes. This is Mossy Meadow twine. So just see how much you need. When I tested it out, it was about 2 feet, or about a little less than 2 feet, maybe 23 inches or something. It was a lot of twine. And then you can just do the little loop-de-loop. And you can make a cute little bow to hold your sentiment together. Or your, not sentiment, to hold your box together. Okay, and when you're all done, voila, here's your finished box, and now we'll open it up and show you what's inside. Let me put this down. All right. Okay. Just tie a little bow. And I hope you now understand how to make this project. That's what I wanted to show you today. So we've accomplished that. So we just go like this, pull off the little, you can double knot it if you want. And you can see what fits in there, and I'll open all my boxes. Okay. Hello. And I put Godiva chocolate pearls in this one. Okay, these are great for care packages. These little pearls are little chocolate drops of heaven. Really, really fun. And they fit in there perfectly. Okay, and so that's one box. And then this box, this is the box that I showed how to make recently with the scan and cut just a couple days ago. So you can check out that video. You know how to cut out these. Let me turn on the light a little bit better. This is Wink of Stella, and you can see how you can make these with the scan and cut. You cut out the bouquet. And I showed how to color it too with the Stampin' blends. And then there's some hand sanitizer. Okay, and then in this box, the only difference between this box, it's the same thing I just did. It's still taking the front of a card and the back of the card, making one bigger. This is still a box from the card, making one side bigger than the other. But in this one, instead of scoring it 1 inch, I scored it 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so that's the only difference in this box. The box is made the exact same way I just taught you. These are little slivers of extra card, and you can fit hand sanitizer, lip balm, mini Tic Tacs. Okay, so those are just fun things you can put in your boxes. And if you had missed my last video, I showed 26 things you can make with this paper pumpkin kit, and I went over all of the different materials I used, the different stamp sets I used, techniques. I even showed how to make this diaper fold in that video, a little bit of how to make the diaper fold, how I used some paper that coordinated Flower and Field Designer Series paper, which is available now until the end of Celebration, which ends February 28th. I showed lots of little treats I made. I showed how to make this tag treat in that video. The video is called 26 Projects You Can Make with the Paper Pumpkin Kit. And since then, I've even made more projects with the second kit. All the 26 projects I made were just the embellishments from the first kit, and now I'm working on the second kit. This is a fun little pyramid box. This one has chocolates inside, but I'm not going to untie it again. I untied it in the video though. So in your kit, you get really cool embellishments. You get, in the paper pumpkin kit, you get these really cool gold doilies. You get this really cool bouquet. Right? These are called main, I would call these main elements. This is a main focal point of a card. This is a main focal point of a card. Or these multilingual French, English, and German stickers. These are the focal point of the card. So what I want to show you now is how I use those. I'm just showing you the cards real quick that I showed in my video yesterday. My video is much longer, but I'm showing you how I use those as a focal point, and then how I made a lot of extra ones with the scan and cut, and how I use those as a focal point. So here's some cards I made with this month's kit. Okay, that's the bouquet as the focal point, and there's the difference. I used some extra a punch to make those. To make this extra little butterflies. Okay, and then that doily, the gold doily as a focal point. Here's ones with the gold doily. And again, I added extra little bits. Oh, here's that same embossing folder that I just used, just to show you. This embossing folder is that same Ornate 3D, here, this, that we just used in this tutorial. Ornate Floral, okay? That's that same embossing folder. It's going to look better in a still photo. I did take a still photo of that. It looks much better in a still photo. And here are some more sympathy cards. And as you can see, I have a lot of sympathy cards now. That's why I started making a lot more boxes. This is a great saying inside too. This is part of the kit. Okay, and the third focal point I was telling you was the stickers. And this is what I did with those pieces of vellum that came in the kit. Let's see if I have any that aren't used yet. Here's a piece that's not used yet. They come like this. And I put the sticker on them. Thinking of you, and thinking of you. Each one's slightly different. And then finally, the ones I made with the bouquet. These are ones I made with the bouquet as the focal point. And here's some tone-on-tone stamping where I did some Rococo Rose on the Rococo Rose, and the Merry Merlot on Rococo Rose. Just now we did Merry Merlot on Rococo Rose. I think that came out a lot better for the technique I just showed you. That was much better than putting Rococo Rose on top of Rococo Rose and then embossing it. This is from the Butterfly Gala. Okay, so I hope these ideas inspire you on what you can do with this month's Paper Pumpkin Kit. And I hope you will go ahead and make some boxes, bookmarks, tag treats, or just color some bouquets for people to give them some fun, inspiring cards that will really make their day. Well, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed this special on how to make a card from a box from a card. And I hope you'll give it a try. And I hope if you're not a Paper Pumpkin subscriber already, that you will subscribe to Paper Pumpkin and get yourself a crafty treat each month. This next month is going to be a nature scene, and it's going to come with 4 free stencils. Thank you, Donna. Okay, it's going to come with 4 free stencils and a sponge. So imagine the fun you're going to have with these stencils, and I can even use the brayers I was just showing you if you don't want to use that sponge for these, to use this stenciling technique, kind of like we just did. I mean, but we're going to, I mean, the way you roll the ink over. So that's what's coming in next month's kit. And that's all they told us, really. They didn't tell us much about it, except it's the cards and it's nature, and gave us a little sneak peek of that. All right. That's all for now. This is the Paper Chef. Have a great day.